my gosh, I just want to cry. I don't even know how things fell so far apart, but I just feel like everything in my life is such a mess right now. It has been so rough, and I've just really hit a low point, maybe one of the lowest that I think I've ever been. Where do I even start? Everything is just so broken. I hope so sincerely that your life is not this crazy, that you haven't lost your mind the way that I have these last few months. But if you have, if you're going through a hard time, or if you just want an inside glimpse into how crazy my life has been, I'm gonna walk you through kind of how things have been going and the steps I am now going to take to try and get my life back on track. So I hope you'll join me, and let's go. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and I'm sorry that this is how we're meeting. Usually I feel like I've got things so much more together, and if you're not new, welcome back. As you can probably tell then, I am just a mess right now. I just thought I would kind of sit down and have this heart-to-heart chat. I don't have makeup on, and my house is a disaster, and as I'm gonna get to, like, everything is just so out of control right now. But again, I wanna walk you through the things that have been going on for me and the things that I am now kind of putting together as a plan for trying to get my life back on track. Because this feeling of exhaustion, overwhelm, depression, I don't want to stay here. These feelings are all too familiar. If you have heard my backstory, you know that I've been through some really hard times before, and this has to be right up there, if not even worse than those times, which sounds like an exaggeration, but the way that I'm feeling right now is just, it's not good, it's not healthy, it's not productive, and it's not where I want to stay. I really want to be so much better for myself, for my husband, for our kids, and I just have so far to go. It's amazing how quickly and how fully things in my life just fell apart. But I'm gonna get things back together, and I wanna walk you through these 7 steps that I've identified to do that. Okay, so the very first thing that I need to do is give myself permission to admit that things are not okay. And I don't know if you are like this, but I'm the kind of person that always tries to put on a really positive, strong facade. I want to, make sure everybody else is okay around me. I don't usually like attention. I don't want people to know if I'm struggling. And so admitting that I am not only having a hard time, but that things have fallen apart is not easy for me. Giving ourselves permission to just feel the failure that we might be perceiving, that's a big step. But it's very important that we also remind ourselves that the way we're currently feeling does not mean we are a failure. It's simply an opportunity to reassess where we're at and to learn and to grow. And I know that as hard as things have been, as much as my world has fallen apart, in a few months or in a few years or, the next time that I know I'll look back and it will suddenly make more sense, and all of this will have just been a very important learning experience and growth opportunity. So stay positive, but it's okay to admit that we are not okay. The second thing I'm gonna do to get my life back on track is just allow myself time to rest. The weight of everything that we've gone through and that the last few months have brought, and again, that feeling of failure and just, those emotions, they're so heavy, they're so exhausting, and I am so tired. I'm gonna just allow myself this chance to take a nap, knowing that I'll wake up with a clearer head, I'll feel more refreshed, and that sometimes taking things back to basics is what we really need to do. We just need to sleep and let our body kind of reset, because our body knows what it needs. And when we're tired, when we're stressed, when we're overwhelmed, and when we feel so depressed, sleep is sometimes the very best remedy. I've learned that the hard way. Obviously, you should consult with a medical professional and get help if you have something much more serious going on. But I just know that for me, lack of sleep is really at the root of so much of what I'm feeling right now, and that if I just give myself a chance to rest, I will feel significantly better and more able to take on the world, so to speak, when I wake up. The next thing I'm gonna do is just kind of sit here and make an inventory of my life, of where things are, of all the different areas that need help. I know that things are out of balance, that every area of my life needs to be put back on track, needs to be improved, and it's just not going well right now. First and foremost, my personal health is almost as bad as it's ever been. I don't feel well. I've got a few different injuries and things going on, and I just have not been taking care of my body. Secondly, my relationships are in shambles. So I just feel so distant from everybody in my life. I don't know if you can relate. It just seemed like quarantine brought everything to a head. It is not easy to be a dual career couple. I have 3 kids, 6 and under, and it's a lot. I have to admit that I just feel like I have failed as a mom the last few months. I lost my patience so many times. I just didn't have the mental energy to kind of put into a lot of the situations that I would have wanted, because I was so exhausted and so stressed, and just the uncertainty of quarantine and everything going on was taking a toll on all aspects of my life, clearly. The third area of my life that needs help is my job. I fell really behind professionally, even though I was trying so hard to keep up. I was working every chance that I could get, and it just wasn't enough. I tried and I tried, but I'm so disheartened. I missed a really huge deadline that I had for my job. It was so humbling, but also humiliating. I recognize how lucky I am to have my job. I don't mean to come across as ungrateful or as arrogant or belittling anyone else's situation. I know so many other people have it so much harder and worse than I do. But that then kind of makes it worse, right? And it plays back into my first point, which is that it's really hard to admit we are not okay. So often we know that we don't have grounds to maybe be feeling the way that we are. We know we should be handling it so much better, and I just didn't. The fourth and final area of my life that I know needs to be improved is just the chaos that is my house. I'm so embarrassed to show this, but it is a mess. Look at this. There's stuff everywhere. My mom always used to say that if your house is in order, your life will feel in order. And this is case in point of the opposite, right? That when your house is a disaster, your life feels like a disaster, or at least mine really does. And I'm so determined now to try and get my house and my life back together. The fourth thing I'm gonna do to try and get my life back together right now is review and renew my priorities. There's just so much that is constantly vying for our attention, taking us away from what really does matter. I have talked about this previously in my what to prioritize video, but if you check that out, I'm gonna now be following all of those same steps all over again to better establish what needs to be done and when. To kind of review what my personal priorities are, I know I have learned the hard way that I have to take care of myself. And I've previously shared some of my top tips for making self-care a priority, but that is still such a challenge, carving out that time, especially during the midst of these last few months, felt so impossible. So I really need to get back to getting sleep exercise, eating well, and just giving myself what I need to function so that I can be who I want to be for everybody else. The second thing that is my top priority is my relationships, primarily my marriage, followed by my role as a mother and the relationships that I want to cultivate with my children. Obviously, work and professional responsibilities are a huge priority, but I need to be more careful about not letting them interfere with my biggest priorities of personal health and family relationships. My next priority might be something that you would see differently, but I think it's really important to have some aspect of our lives that we get personal fulfillment and enjoyment from, some hobby, some side passion, something that we do for us. And I just am kind of reevaluating what is important to me and the things that do bring me personal joy. And so doing these videos, having this time with you, that is definitely something that I do for me. Final priority is, of course, the kind of logistics of running a household, all of the cleaning, all of the errands, all of the stuff that has to happen. I'm sure you've heard people talk about mental load, but that is a major weight that we mothers carry because we're constantly having to have in our minds what needs to happen and, when we need to go grocery shopping, what we need at the store, how much we have of all these different supplies and who has what coming up and what the kids need to wear for this activity, or it's so much. So again, the point is just that from here on out, I see this incredible opportunity to rebuild my life according to what I value and to really better align my time with my values so that my priorities are getting the time, energy, and attention that they really deserve. The fifth thing I'm going to do to get my life back together is reestablish the systems and foundations that I need to have in place in order to make things flow smoothly day by day. You've probably heard this acronym before, but a system stands for save yourself some time, energy, or money. And I have really learned the hard way that having things that have to happen on a regular basis, well established and clearly defined as to when they happen and what order you do them, and just getting all of that flowing smoothly makes such a difference. And as silly as it sounds, those things just really went by the wayside during quarantine. So I'm back to square one, back to the drawing board. I have my Tools for Wisdom planner, my high performance planner. I will link below for you the video where I tell you all about how I plan and which planners I love and why. You can also download my free daily organizer template from my website. I'll link that for you below as well. But I'm just gonna sit down and figure out when I can start making traction on the things that need to happen to help me get my life back together, back on track. I have my to-do list here that's all organized in terms of the different categories of my life. You can check out my How to Tame Your To-Do List video to figure out the process that I go through for doing that. But I'm gonna really then figure out specific times. I'm going to block out in my planner specific times for working out and taking care of myself, for having a cleaning routine, for setting aside the quality time I want to have with my husband. I really just want to make sure that I am making time for my priorities by planning in when I'm going to do them. I'm also then going to be meal planning, and if you're interested, let me know in the comments, but I'd be happy to make another video all about this. I have here a recipe book that I have compiled. It's just a binder full of the specific recipes that I know my family can eat given our kind of crazy diet restrictions, and things that are simple, that my kids love, all the tried and true things that I can turn to put together a meal plan so that we are saving money and eating better and just really caring for ourselves. I can care for my family by cooking for them instead of wasting all the time and eating all the junk that we were doing during quarantine. All right, I'm gonna get to it. The sixth thing I'm going to do to start getting my life back on track is chip away at the mess. Just try and clean up what I can, be as quick and efficient as I can be in putting things away, decluttering, going through the mess that is everywhere so that I have that kind of peace of mind and feel like I've got some space to then work on the bigger projects or the other things that need to happen. So I'm gonna take a few minutes, take a couple hours probably, and make a dent in all of this and just, again, start thinking about the bigger things that also need to happen, when and how I'm going to do them, and just spend the time while I'm cleaning, decompressing, listening to some podcasts, listening to music, giving myself a chance to think about all the things that are on my mind and dream about how great it's going to be when I've got things kind of back in place. The seventh thing I'm going to do right now to start trying to get my life back together is just remember that nothing is going to be instantly better overnight. Everything takes time, and as quickly as it feels like my life fell apart, rebuilding it and getting back to a place that I want to be, the place that I dream of, the place I know that I can get to, is going to take time. We always feel like we know what we're doing and we've got it together until suddenly we don't anymore. I just wanted to open my heart today. I hope that by sharing where I am at and sharing the tips and the tricks and the tactics that I am using to get back on track, that it will help you do the same if you are in a similar place. I will be back to making regular videos every week all about prioritization, productivity, time management, and that elusive thing we call work-life balance. So if you are not already, don't forget to subscribe down below. Click that bell so you get notified every time a new video of mine comes out. Let me know in the comments what other kinds of videos you'd like to see. How can I help? What do you want to see more of? And then for now, check out these other videos that will give you some of an additional concrete plan for how to start simplifying your life and getting things back together as quickly as we can.